to record. And let's see, before we start with this week's content, does anybody have a question about last week? Nope, you guys are good. You all actually, everyone who has turned in their assignment so far did a pretty good job. I wrote a couple notes on things. So someone had trouble with Control 7 on a PC, and I will screen share in a minute and actually show you where that is up in the menus. Because when I was going through it, I just call it Control 7. It's actually creating a clipping mask. So that's up in the menu. I'll show you guys how to do that. Everything that there's a key command for is up in the menu, and you guys can do it without the key commands. The key commands just help you work faster and easier. And then a couple people had some jagged lines on the curved things. So that's really just getting more comfortable with the pen tool, zooming in and toggling those things and switching back and forth between the curved and really just kind of fine tuning it. So that really just takes practice. And then I forgot who was working exclusively on an iPad. Are they here? No. I put Illustrator on my iPad. It is possible. I do not think it's as easy, but it is possible. So good luck to you. I forgot who you were. You can send me an email about it, but sorry, I forgot who that was specifically. So let's see. And you guys, if you have any questions at any point, just do the hand raise or just, chime in or add them to the chat. But I'm just gonna go over some stuff for this week. I'm excited to see, based off your assignment for week 1, which is the first time I've assigned something with that much of a learning curve right off the bat. I'm excited to see how that helps this next assignment. So this is your first project this week. And what we are doing is, let's see, I'm gonna switch my view real quick, hold on. Okay, so what we are doing this week is focusing on the principles and elements of graphic design. And what these are the things that are going to make you a better designer. It's the very basics, literally the building blocks of design, so that no matter what happens after this class, if you never use Adobe again, or you decide to use like free software like Canva, or even if you're using Microsoft Word, you can remember these things and they'll help you be a better designer in general. So let's see, I'm gonna screen share with you guys, and let's see, I'm gonna keep an eye on the participants. Let me pop that out. So that I can watch you guys. I think I can see it when I screen share. Okay. And I am excited to see so many of you on here. One thing, don't forget that you still have to do your discussion boards, and that's technically how I'm going to keep track of attendance, because coming on here is optional, but it's very beneficial for you guys to be here, especially if you have questions. And that's what this is about, so we can get that more interactive experience. So feel free to stop me. When I screen share, I can't really watch things as much, so just turn off your mic and chime in. That's totally fine. So here we go. Let me come over here. If you guys haven't seen it yet, hold on. We'll go to the module.
Okay, that sweater is cute. I really like it.
The one I'm wearing?
Yeah, it's like kind of like late 80s, but like still like newish.
I found it at Goodwill. Thank you. So week 2.
Professor,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no,
I didn't actually post on the discussion for last week. Is it closed now?
It turned off, I think, at 5. How many, was that a lot of people? Let me stop sharing for a second. Let me look at it. If there's, when I checked it earlier and I posted that announcement, there were only like 4 people. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, okay, we got a few more at the, actually a lot more at the end. I will edit this really quick. And I'm gonna give you guys a little more time today. I'll set it for 8 or 9. I'll just do 10. That way you don't feel rushed. So I set it for a little bit later today. So if you did miss it, you can go back and do that. I really like everyone to do this one because I ask you what you want to learn. So I really do read these and apply them. Okay.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the assignment that's due today, I tried posting it to turn it in multiple times, but it always shows only like a green page. It doesn't actually show the shapes and stuff. I don't know.
Okay, I had commented that on yours too, and I even downloaded it to see, because sometimes they preview weird, but then when I download them, I can actually see them, or I'll open them up and the layers will be there. You might need to screen share with me and show me how you're saving it out.
Do you want me to do that right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it right now.
Okay, cool. All right then. I'll screen share. Are you able to see?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so how I would save it, I tried doing it as save as, but it wasn't giving me the PDF option. So
Oh.
what I did was I tried doing it this way, export, and then right here I chose this one, but it still isn't letting me.
So, okay, so click off of that for a second.
Cancel?
So first of all, are you in InDesign instead of Illustrator? You are.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be, did you start in Illustrator and somehow get it in InDesign?
I'm not sure. I think I started in InDesign, like the whole thing.
Okay, so that's fine because there are the same drawing tools in InDesign. It's just not as easy. So that's why you should still be able to go to File, Export. So in Illustrator, to save a PDF, it's File, Save As, PDF. In InDesign, it's File, Export, PDF. So you should be able to export it, but part of your problem is also that you're not in Illustrator. So if you take this whole thing and just select it all and copy. Oh, see, so all of your layers are locked. So over here in the layers palette where they're all locked, unlock all of them. And then now select all. You can hit Command A if you want to.
Command A.
Or Control A.
Oh, cool. And then copy.
Yep. And then go open up Illustrator and make a document and then Command Paste, and that should bring it all in.
Illustrator should be on the Creative Cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So oh, cool. So I was supposed to do this in Illustrator?
Yeah, it's an easy mistake if you're new because you open it up and the tools look so similar.
Right.
It's just so, you'll find if you go into Illustrator, it's that's what Illustrator's for. It's drawing software, so it's so much easier to do.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but you can copy and paste vector files in between. Sorry. You can copy and paste vector files in between the two programs. So
Okay.
sometimes when I'm being really lazy, next week we'll get into when to use what program for what,
Mm-hmm.
which now I'm thinking maybe we should, I should switch these weeks. If I'm being really lazy, sometimes instead of like file, save as, and I'll save my illustration, if it's really simple, I'll just copy and paste it into InDesign and let it float around in there. But then you'll start running into problems when you want to edit that, if you wanted to edit that file. So I think if you just paste this whole thing into an Illustrator document and then save as PDF, it should work. And
Okay.
go ahead and try that and I'll move on with the lecture, but if you want to try that while I'm
All right,
talking.
I'll stop the sharing then.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So anybody else have any questions about last week? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on with the stuff for this week. So you'll see, okay, I updated the discussion for you guys. The week 2 module is live now. And so you'll see this page with all of the content for the week. I didn't re-record these. I'll go over them a little bit here and post this whole class session to help you guys. But I have the lecture up already recorded, and then all of these links and stuff for you guys. So like I was saying, this week is about principles and elements of graphic design. And these are the building blocks that are going to make you better designers regardless of what program you're using. So this right here is a link to this PowerPoint. And I always talk about how ugly it is. It comes straight from Adobe, and it is not, ironically, it is not well designed, but the content is really good. So in that video, you guys can watch me go into this in depth, but we'll talk about elements of design. And then it gets into examples. And these things you will find will be in back here.
I forgot which one it was, but one of the links wasn't working last week.
Broken link in the Illustrator tutorials. Was it that one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't replaced it with a new one yet. It was about the pen tool, which I think you guys got really familiar with last week, but sorry, that was a broken link to an Adobe video, but I'll find a new one to try and replace that. That's the only one I found. So if there's another one, let me know. So in your assignment, you will see we'll have elements and we'll have principles. And so we'll have things like line, color, shape, value, texture, space and size, pattern, balance, emphasis, proportion, rhythm, contrast, proximity. So we're going to get in depth with these things this week and learn what they mean and how to use them. And then you guys are going to make a poster that takes 2 of those things and combines them. So it's pretty fun. There's also a lot of good links. I hope these links work. Okay, so I really like this article. It has better, really well done visuals to explain the elements. And I think the principles are on the same one. So then you get into the principles of design. So if you guys are confused about what is an element and what is a principle, the elements are the actual things, and the principles is how those are applied. So what you're going to do for your assignment this week is you're going to do this grid, and I gave this to you to start with so you have an easy starting point, and I even gave you guys some shapes. So you're going to learn about the principles and elements of graphic design, what they are, how to use them, and then you're going to pick 4, any 4. There's definitely some that are picked most often, and then there's some that are rarely picked because there are some that are harder to do than others. You're also more than welcome to do this whole thing by hand. It used to just be a sketchbook assignment, but since we've moved to online classes, I made you guys a digital format. And what's good about using this format is that one, you're just building more program skills, and two, if you get something you really like say you pick line, shape, texture, size, and then over here you'll just do pattern. You guys can pick whatever you want. Once you watch the lecture, you'll probably have a better idea of what you want to pick. And you can, if certain things bother you and you want to like style these up, you're more than welcome to. But it's really this, don't get hung up on this. Don't let it like freak you out. It's really just a learning tool. So even if it's ugly, that's fine. But what's good about starting digitally, if you do it like this, if you pick something, so let's do line and pattern, and you make a little something in this box. So here's some lines, and then here I'll add wavy lines in between. So it's literally lines, and then it's making a pattern. Does that make sense? It's pretty, oops, let me admit someone in here. And that's what you're gonna do with each thing. So then you'd go down the row and you'd go line and balance. And that could be something as simple as like, here's a line and it's balanced out with another line. Some of these can work for more than one thing. So like say I had proximity and alignment right here, something like that would work. And then you go down the line again, so line and contrast. So if this was a line and then this was a line, those two things contrast. Or maybe it's this line and then like a really, sorry, I can't see all my tools because of all the windows I have open. So here's two lines and they're contrasting. So if you guys do this assignment digitally, then you can pick whatever you just did. You can copy it. And your project is supposed to be 11 by 17 horizontal. But if you really like a square, because what you're supposed to do for your project is pick your favorite square and bring it over into your poster, and you can paste it in and you can start from there. Obviously you'll have to scale it up, you'll have to change things, and you're more than welcome to really add a lot more to it than that. But it makes it kind of easy and gives you a good starting point. And if you look at some of the examples, oh, this article always has this ad pop up, but this is a really good article here. I like it. You guys definitely need to read this. It's linked in week 2. And then the assignment, let me go back to the assignment. Here are examples from past students. So you can see, you can keep it really simple. I've never given that drawing assignment before this assignment, so people usually keep it really geometric and simple. I want you guys to work to your skill level. I've gotten really complex posters before as well. So you'll see like this one has a drop shadow. And then some of them are just really simple and effective. Like this one is just like different circles, but you still see that rhythm, like it feels like it's moving. When you see it visually, you can almost like hear a sound. So keep it simple, don't work out of your skill level, but it, you know, also have full creative freedom to take it where you want to go. And then also, if you guys would rather, like I said, this used to be a sketchbook assignment. You can do it on a tablet, or you can literally do it on paper. And you can make your own grid. And I'll stop sharing for a minute. And you can write the 4 things. So you could go line, color, forgot. I should have these memorized, shouldn't I? Shape, size, and then you can write here. And so you can write them here and here. And then you can do the same thing I did digitally where you actually draw it. So like line and pattern. Do it better than this. This is really sloppy just to show you guys, but you can actually just draw a grid and fill them in by hand. And sometimes that's better. Like you don't get that creative block of like moving things and trying to do the program at the same time. Sometimes it's just so much easier just to sit there and sketch it out. And then when it comes to color, you guys can get different colored pencils or whatever you want to use. Sometimes people even do like cross hatching and shading for that one. When you watch the lectures and the videos, you'll really start getting a feel for what these principles and elements are, and it'll make this so much easier. And I never like to fill in the entire grid because I don't want to lead you guys anywhere. I like to see what your solutions are. Students come up with really clever solutions for things, even at beginning skill levels. So you can do it in a sketchbook and then scan or take a picture of it and upload that. The things that will dock you points, you have to fill in every square. So even if you have a square, let me go back to screen sharing for a second. So you have to fill in every single square. If one is really, really hard, let me think about this. Sometimes there are really hard ones. What you'll do is like, so color, and then proximity and alignment. What you're gonna do is you're gonna be using a third thing as a vessel for that. So it's okay if they cross over. So obviously color is like this abstract thing, but you have to align it. So proximity and alignment is the way things are fitting into a space. So they're either lined up or they're close together or they're far apart. So you need some kind of shape or line, something to contain that color. So if you get ones like this and you think, oh my gosh, this is really hard, I have no idea what to do, obviously you can pull in a second element and use that too. So some of these will cross over with each other. It's just the nature of the way the grid works. So don't get intimidated, try to fill in every square. Not every square has to be a masterpiece. You just need to put something in there. And the goal of this assignment is to make sure I understand that you understand what each of these are. Does that make sense? So from there, let me go back and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, really, you guys can work at this at your own pace. Start with, in the week 2 module, start with the lecture. That'll give you clarity on what principles and elements are. And then just work your way through those links and read up on them. And then by the time you get to your project, it should be really clear what you're supposed to do. Most people struggle with the grid, and then the poster is actually pretty easy. So yeah, let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything. That's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, so I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going back towards week 1 and the lighthouse assignment. And under Illustrator, there was the point where we already did the background color, and then you transitioned into like creating that circular shape that's around the lighthouse. And how you're saying like, okay, make the anchor points and then drag them. I'm like having such a hard time doing that.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I did say I was gonna go over that one more time. And then I forgot because I was talking about this week's assignment. So let me pull that up and open up Illustrator, and I'll show you guys a couple of things that I could tell. There were lots of people that had that like curvy, it looks like a paint palette and just made up shape. And it was a little jagged. But let me open this up and then I'll screen share with you guys.
Yeah, that's like the point where mine is at. It's like, it's kind of the shape, but it's not as
as clean.
uniform. Yeah, it's clean. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see here. So here's the one that I made. I gotta move you guys. Okay, got a lot going on here. So if you look at, oops, I dragged in different, there we go. Oh, what is going on? Sorry, hold on. This is, oh, I know what I did. I named a file the same thing. Hold on, now you guys get to see what I worked on today. Hold on. I didn't name my files properly, and then I moved the file. And so what it did was it pulled the new thing that I named the same thing in there, so I don't have my background template, but I do have it saved properly. Let me just find it. I'll go to the one I made with you guys. Okay, got it. There's a lot of things like that where it's like I can try to hammer in these like best practices for you guys, and then you really just gotta be working and learn some things for yourself, because some lessons I still haven't learned, and I do things like that all the time. So here is the template, and when I was drawing it, you'll see it's right there. Let me add a new layer. You got the pen tool. So here, even if I click through this really fast and just kind of make it really messy, make it a color that's easier to see. If I zoom in here, so here's a couple things that'll help you guys get those smooth curves. Zoom in first of all, and then use this direct select and start clicking on these arrows. And so this one, see, this one isn't a curved arrow because I just clicked. And if you want to switch that over, you come over here to the pen tool and you go to the anchor point tool, and you can click on that and drag, and see it might twist around. So then you have to actually drag it the other way around. And I'm holding down the mouse this entire time, and then you can smooth it out. So then you'd want to go back to the pen tool, or even if I'm still on that tool, if I hold down Command or Control, I'm going to try to be better at giving you guys the Windows command. It'll just go to the arrow for me. So right here, I'm just holding down in between, and it'll toggle that tool back and forth, and I can move it, and I can move it onto my template line and adjust it. So sometimes it's easier too if you do this as an outline and then fill it in later so you can see. So if I really want to follow this drawing closely, I can just do this as an outline for now. And I might even do things like this random anchor point is just in the way and it's just making it messy, so you delete it to keep it smooth. In my experience, the fewer the anchor points, the smoother the lines can be. Sometimes if you have too many anchor points, it actually junks up and it gets in your way. So just start deleting them and then toggle bigger ones farther around. So like this one too is probably just in the way. And then I can toggle this one over here. And then I'm gonna delete that one. And I can bring that in, bring this in. And you're really just pulling and toggling these anchor points around till you get it smooth and you like the way it looks. So you can see here, that is pretty good. And if I fill it in, it looks pretty good. Maybe right here, I'd wanna kind of smooth that out and just make it smoother regardless of what the template looks like. But you can see, even if you just kind of click on something and make a shape like that really fast, you go in using the anchor point tool and then deleting and toggling, and you can get it to be a smoother shape. And then I was also going to show you guys. Let me bring these mountains in real quick. Just make some really messy mountains. So someone said they were having trouble with Command 7 or Control 7. Sorry, those colors are vibrating. I can't look at that. Let me switch it. That's a little better. Okay. So what Command 7 actually is a clipping path command. So remember, the thing that you want to be that shape has to sit on top. So I'd Control C and Control F to paste that in front, and then Command Shift bracket to bring it all the way to the front. And remember, that was up here, Object Arrange. So then if I click on that and I click on this, I always do Command 7 because it's super easy. But if I go back and I have both of these selected by using the black arrow, clicking, holding down Shift, and clicking that green shape that I just made. And then you go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And see how it says Command 7 right there? Same thing. So everything that I did with a key command is up here in the menus too. So that will probably help you with when it comes to the pen tool. It's just really getting experience, knowing how many things to click and where to go. Because you have it, I know everybody at first has a tendency to want to just follow like these points and click around with really small anchor points like this. How many of you did it kind of like this, where you're just following around? But see, all those anchor points actually makes it much harder. What you really want to do is just pick some key parts, like click here, and then this is dipping down, so click here, and then click. So the fewer anchor points, the easier it is to get smooth lines. And then, like I said, you can go back in and delete some and toggle them around based on how you want it to fit. All right, does that help?
That did. I actually tried it again while you were doing it, and I think I kind of got it down, so.
Cool, yeah, that's what's good about actually being on Zoom. You guys can follow along while I'm doing stuff and help you and see if there's anything right away that you're like, this isn't working. Or it's a good way to catch if I forget a step. You guys can try it and figure out that I messed up something. So anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So is it better to have more layers? Because I got really confused, like which one was at the back, which was at the front. That's why I was the one with the question for the masking, the Command 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I messed something up in mine, where I put the control, when I used the Control 7, the mountain didn't actually go inside the clip. So it took me a few hours to figure that out, but but yeah, it was a miracle because I was messing with the put forward, put backward. I don't know where that is. It was like in the editor options or something.
Yeah. So let me go into Illustrator one more time and kind of address this. So layers are another one of those things that's like best practices. If you open up a file that's really well made from an experienced designer, it should look very clean and labeled well. I only do that if I know I'm sending it to someone else who's going to open it and judge me for my messy layers. The thing about layers, it's really just what's most beneficial to you as you're drawing in Illustrator. There's a lot of tools that have been added in with upgrades now that are pretty cool, where it eliminates the use for like a layer for every single thing. I usually like to do a background. So I have the background, I have the template, and then the things that I know are going to be hard to move forward and back. So like, say, like these windows are sitting right on top, but what do I have in the middle? So you can hit this arrow here and see everything that's within that layer. And then I have like the little sunsetty thing right on top. It's turned off. But you can do things like when you group, so Command G groups objects together. So I actually have this whole thing grouped together, and you can see it's all contained in one shape. Now, in order, when I send things forward and backwards, you might lose things because it's behind there, and now you're just constantly sending things back until you get things on top, and it can be this real struggle. So if you're ever like sending things back too much and you keep losing it, just pull it up to its own layer. But you can also do things now where this whole grouped object, you double click, and then it has a clip group if you see up here. So layer 2 clip group. And then you can mess with things. So now this is its own clip group, and you can really just keep double clicking into things and then make those adjustments and then click out back into your main project. So the more you get comfortable and used to Illustrator, you might be a layers person where you're like, nope, this is sitting on top. This is like, this text is supposed to be on top. Let's bring it to the top layer. This is the background. It needs to be in the back, and then label those things so that you know where each of them are. And then you can even lock within individual layers. So if I just want these windows to be locked, it's these rectangles. So now I can't click and move those windows so I don't lose them. So you can, it's just best practices is to always like keep layers neat, organized, and to name the layers, you just double click. So I could name this like lighthouse layer. I could label this. I double click there, background. And that keeps you from getting lost. But you might also just find you like using these clip groups, and that's just as good for you. So it's just gonna be how you're comfortable working and what's familiar for you. Like say, I decided to bring this forward, and now I'm like, man, those, where are my windows right here? I need those windows on the top. So you can click here and just move them. So remember, you have this layers tool to always help you if you get lost or you lose something. And then I could get the top of the lighthouse, and I could do the same thing, and I can select all of these, and I can move them to the top there. So don't feel like you constantly have to be like, oh, I moved this forward, so now I have to send this back, and then everything is like starting to get messed up. You know, is that what happened? So like then you lost something else, and then you lost something else. So you're sending that to the back and that to the back. Always just pull it to a new layer, or just open up this part here, find that piece you need, and then pull it back up to the top if you need to.
Professor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is kind of off topic, but what we just went over this whole lecture, when did you say you would post that video?
Okay, so the videos for what I just talked, or for this, the lighthouse, or what I talked about earlier, sorry.
Oh, what you talked about earlier, the shapes?
Okay, so the shapes and everything are already on the modules. So those are, I didn't re-record those, they're pre-recorded from last semester. So you can already find the how-to for the grid for the shapes, and then the how-to for the poster, and the lecture for principles and elements of graphic design. So those are already live, and you can start watching those. And then after we're done here, I will actually upload this whole class session again too, and post a link for you guys. That way, you know, there's little things when we're interacting with each other, like these questions and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to go back and watch, like they went to class again, they can.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Professor, so when you were talking about the layers, does it like, are you looking for a specific amount of layers, or like, because I only have basically 2 layers, and I think I know what I did.
It's just a working preference. Some people like a lot of layers. Like I had the template and the background, and then the main parts of the design. So I think I had 4 when I was actually working on it. It's just your preference. I mean, if you even want to keep everything on their own layer and then just lock little pieces, that's just your own workflow that you're going to have to develop. Things like that aren't like, I'm never going to be like, you have to make this document with this many layers with this, this, and this. Those are just going to be working preferences as you get used to the program. But some people like a lot of layers, and some people like to just group things together. And as you get more comfortable, you'll figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, because I just saw like what you did when you like did that drop down thing on one of the layers, and you
Uh-huh.
saw like the sub,
Yeah.
like everything that's in there. I tried doing that for like I guess like the actual layer that had everything, and I saw all my work, and I think it's all. I'm pretty sure it's all in pieces, but like I think that's mainly the same exact thing that you had, but just in like different layers.
Yeah, it probably is. And then sometimes when you save things out, like somebody's document, when I previewed it in the PDF, had the template sitting on top. But the minute I downloaded it and opened it up, I could see that. So like sometimes there's just little glitches like that. And if you were actually sending this off, and I didn't include that in the step, you would just delete that template layer just to make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh, okay, yeah, because my first layer was the reference page. Yeah.
Yeah, so if the first layer is on top, when you save the PDF, you would see that. Another thing that makes layers really useful, if you're ever using a template, so if you download a template off of any printer's website, like for a postcard or buttons or things like that, you'll notice the AI file for that template usually has delete this before saving. So they'll give you a template where you'll see like the die line and the bleeds and things like that. So as you're designing, you know what you're supposed to be fitting in, and then it's on a new layer so that when you're done, you just delete that and call it good. So that's another good reason to use layers if you're using a template or things like that too, or
And
later.
another thing about layers is, so I found it very useful to like use a lot of layers, because when doing the lighthouse, I realized that there were some things at the end that I had to bring to the front and then drag down to make it like underneath the reflection or stuff like that. I found it really useful that when you get like more than like 10 layers, it can get pretty difficult to realize what's what because of the icon being so small. So as tedious as it may seem, like renaming your layers and actually labeling what everything is helps a lot. Like as ridiculous as it may seem to be like, oh, red line number 3 or red line number 4 on the lighthouse, it really helped.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Don't make anything harder on yourselves than it has to be. Like put it on a new layer. You guys can also change the color of the layer guide. I don't know if you've explored that yet, but you'll see, let me show you. So each layer here has a color associated with it. And sometimes based on what you're working on, like maybe that color is really hard to see. The red's really easy to see, but sometimes you'll get like an automatic color on, like maybe it's the same color as what you're working on. You can change these. Now I'm gonna forget how to figure it out really fast. Let me see. You double click, there we go. I'm glad I figured it out. And see this color, it's light red. So maybe you're working on something that's light red and you just cannot see it. You can always switch that color. And black's a really easy one. You can change any of these. I find some of these default colors, like with the magenta and the light green, they're just hard to see. So again, don't make anything harder on yourselves than it has to be. Have like 20 layers if that's what's easier for you, and then label them. And then the only thing that layers are for is for you on stuff like this to make your working environment easier. So it's not like a template like I was talking about where someone else is going to open it and they need to follow along and be like, oh, this is the top layer and this is the bottom layer. When you're drawing like this, the only reason you make layers is for your own benefit. So make as many as you want. All right.
And when I make layers, I was scared of adding a layer because I thought that the command 7 wouldn't work. So
yeah,
that's
so
why I held off a bit.
A clipping mask. I don't think it has to be on the same layer, but it will pull it to the same layer after you use that command. Let me try it. I know I'm not screen sharing, but this is gonna, I just want to see if this works. So making a circle. Yeah, okay, so to use that command, they don't have to be on the same layer, but after you do that command, because they're now combined, an object that's combined together, it'll just pull it to the same layer. And then you can move things up and down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, I can tell by your assignment last week that a lot of you already made some big jumps in skill level and getting comfortable with Illustrator. Let me see. Let me look really quick for this project last semester. Do you guys like, okay, most students I have found want lots of examples of what people have done before, and I'm always hesitant to influence you guys too much. I want you to feel like you can be really creative, and I don't want to lead you so then like all you're thinking about is what other people did. But if you guys like a lot of examples, I can give you more examples of past projects. Let me just find one really quick, like some really creative ones. I didn't make a poll, but you guys want to see more projects from last time? More examples? Or you guys don't want to like have those in your head to influence you? Okay, I'll pull them up. Close your eyes if you don't want to see them. I don't know. Okay, so this is just a combination of, I just threw this assignment in here, so I think it's a combination of semesters. I don't want to open them up there. Let me,
Ooh, I think I'm gonna leave either way because I just got my Best Buy order in right now, so.
Yeah, if you guys at any point you're like, I'm good, you can take off. And again, I'm gonna post this, but I'll just show you, if you want to stick around, I'll show you a couple more examples of the project.
Professor, I was just wondering because I was having such a hard time with this assignment. Is it okay if we like message you and like when we're having trouble?
Yeah.
Or did you just want us to wait? Okay.
No, if you
Okay,
guys are having a really hard time, like I feel bad that you said you spent hours trying to figure out Command 7. Like nothing should take hours. If at that point you're just like, I cannot figure this out, just stop what you're doing, send me a message. We can either set up a one-on-one Zoom, or a lot of times like people have screen captured what's going on and I'm like, oh, this is all it takes to fix it. So yeah, if you're having trouble while you're working on stuff, you can message me or ask me, or you can try posting in the discussion board or on, gosh, what's it called? The, what is this thing called? Discord. The Discord that was set up too, and that might be more beneficial. So here are some past projects for this assignment. Some are good, some are bad. I just pulled up everybody's. This is rhythm and value. And some of these may not make sense yet either because you haven't watched the lecture to really understand what all of them are, but the best ones will make sense because that's the goal of the assignment, is to communicate both things effectively in a poster. Don't save. So here's another one. I probably opened up too many. This one I think is really nice and simple. So you can, like I said, work within your skill set. If you're just getting started, just keep it simple, do something pretty easy. The important part is that it's communicating these things properly because this is a communication class. So I want you guys to focus on the message, the first and foremost. This one's really nice. I think I have this one in the examples. This one, I mean, if you're gonna go with something like pattern, like these are some that are kind of like, I get it, it makes sense, but you picked pattern, so you could really play it up a little bit more. Again, another simple one, but effective. This one works. This one could have been really cool, but the student was just getting started, but it's line and movement. Like those lines literally look like they're dripping down. So that's where like the effectiveness of your poster is super important, and you'll get a really high score regardless of how well you can execute it. Now, if you can execute it really well within the program and it communicates really well, then that's just an extra bonus. But this is a good example of one where you can tell there's like some points in here that are a little bit off because it's the first assignment. A lot of you are still getting used to the programs, but it's very effective in how it communicates. This one's really nice and pretty too. And you'll see a lot of these repeat kind of similar ideas. This one's okay. This is another really nice one. I like the ones that really fill up that page. So it's an 11 by 17 poster. So you guys have a whole space to design and create in. Let's see, I could just keep going on these forever. Oh, I think this one's really unique. So, you know, you can think outside the box in terms of shape. I had that one in the example. This one's in the example too. Again, simple but effective. Oh, there's somebody's grid. So you can see a good example of doing the grid by hand if you guys want to. So yeah, I think that gives you a better starting point. And yeah, but have fun with it. I think, well, I think this whole class is fun. This is what I do. So obviously I'm like, have fun. This is going to be a fun assignment, but that's my own bias coming into play here because I think all of this stuff is fun. But you guys are always welcome to push any project creatively. Feel free to do more or do something like whatever you're feeling. If you have a big creative idea and it's not necessarily in the spec sheet, but you want to do it, go for it. But at the same time, don't get overwhelmed, work within your skill set, and just try to really come up with a good communicative solution. All right?
Professor?
Yes.
I was kicked off for about like 5 minutes because my laptop died. I had to get back on like in the first 2 minutes of class. So I'm not sure if you went over this already, but I'm on the project 1 assignment, and for project 1A, the Illustrator document for the template is locked. I don't know what you said about that or if it's supposed to be.
I'm glad you checked it. That is something no one else has discovered yet. And I know exactly.
I was like, I'm gonna get to it.
I know why it's locked. Let me unlock it. It's locked in the files section, but it still links, and I wasn't in student view. So when I checked my link earlier, it worked fine for me. So let me unlock it right now.
Okay.
Let me remember where it is. Not there. Anybody else have any other questions while I'm doing that? If not, you're free to go, and I will unlock this right now.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're welcome. I hope you guys have fun with this. I can't wait to see what you guys do next week.
Professor?
Yeah?
I have a question. So I'm having problems with I'm trying to delete. So on the assignment I had, I created like 2 pages. I don't know why. Could I start screen sharing to show you
absolutely.
on the one from last week?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see. I accidentally made it, and now like I don't know how to go back.
So let's see. So in view, go up to view.
Uh-huh.
At the top.
Okay. what would I click on?
Click on view and then go down to, sorry, okay. Go down to preview.
Preview over here on top.
Yep, at the top.
The GPU or preview on CPU?
I'm actually not sure. Let me see.
Okay.
CPU.
Okay. Okay. So I made that white blank sheet and I don't know how to take it off.
So now to get rid, sorry, let me go back. To get rid of that new sheet, see above the magnifying glass, there's a square with those two little hash marks.
This one?
Yep. Wait, no, where are you? Nope, sorry, go over. That was my mouse when I said, when I said yes. So go over to the toolbar on the left
The left?
side. Yeah, and you'll see the magnifying glass. Go up, one more.
This
That,
one?
click on that. Now just hit delete.
I hit delete and they don't delete.
It didn't delete anything?
Did I lock it or something?
Go over to properties on the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what you did? Okay, hit undo.
Okay.
Command Z.
Undo. Here. Oh. Again?
Yeah, one more time. Okay, so now click off, just go back up to that black arrow and click on it.
Oh, this one? Okay.
Yeah. All I think you did was just move your project over. So you only have one artboard I see here in properties now. You can add artboard, so that's what I thought you did on accident, but all you really did was just moved your project. So if you select everything, just move it back over. So if you were to save as right now, you would technically be saving a blank page because nothing's on the artboard, even though you did the whole project. So all you have to do is move that project back into that artboard on that white space and you're good. That's all that happened.
So I copy everything and it'll just move everything automatically?
Yeah, so if you go back to layers.
Okay. Layers. Okay.
Make sure everything's unlocked. Okay, so you're good. And you can even hit Command A and that'll select everything. Oh, see, these are locked. So you need to unlock all of those so everything moves back over with you. Perfect.
I think that deleted everything. I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay, cool. So now you can Command A, select everything. Yeah, and now move it back over to your artboard. And that's it. That's all that happened. This is why the lab is great, because little things like this that happen to you, we can solve right away. But like when you're by yourself, you're like, what did I do? I don't know. So
I took a bunch of hours trying to do it.
I don't know why that piece didn't move with you. You might need to toggle that down at the, because I see it in your layers. It might have something else on there. It's right in the middle, that clip group, and it's got a little arrow with it. Yeah.
This one? Okay.
Yeah, oh, see, it's still locked.
Okay. So I unlock them?
Yep, and then you can move that back over.
Or just unlock the blue one?
Either way, you got it. Do you mind if I leave this in when I upload the class? Because I bet this happens to somebody else.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Cool. I know some people hang back and they're the first ones to ask just because they don't like want to ask in front of everybody. But cool. I'm gonna leave this so that it'll definitely help someone else. I guarantee someone else will on this.
So that should be good already, correct?
Yeah, so now you can save this and it'll save with it there. So yeah, if you leave stuff off the artboard, it won't be there when I open your PDF document. So you got to move it back in. So yeah.
Okay. Sounds good then, Professor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That's it.